accusation. They're throwing around the word treason.
I hate to say this, but President Barack Obama, there is now incontrovertible evidence that he was the spearhead of a seditious conspiracy to subvert the will of the American people and overthrow the United States government back in 2016.
They're saying that Obama knew that Russia did not meddle in the election, did not have any impact in the election.
We must, absolutely must, hold every one of these criminals accountable for the crimes that they committed. They are the most heinous crimes committed in American history.
But yet promoted this idea.
James Comey, John Brennan, Clapper, Rice, Biden was in the meeting. They briefed Barack Obama on Hillary Clinton's plan to, quote, tie Trump to Russia collusion lies. It consumed our national discourse for 5 years.
And then there's been some incredible clips of all these different news reporters, CNN and MSNBC, just saying over and over and over again, clear evidence of Russian collusion.
For 20 years, you had Obama and George W. Bush's Department of Justice go easy on this guy. They didn't fully investigate the case. They didn't show any curiosity about the case. And now Donald J. Trump is asking his Department of Justice to show full transparency. And somehow that's a criticism of Donald J. Trump and not Barack Obama and George W. Bush. If you want to criticize the people who aren't showing full transparency, you ought to go after the administrations that went easy on Jeffrey Epstein, the administrations that concealed this case for 20 years, and the administrations that failed to show full transparency.
When a former president's polished image clashes with the raw power of unfiltered truth, the cracks don't just show, they split wide open. Joe Rogan comes in swinging, sharp like a sniper and heavy like a wrecking ball. Then J.D. Vance throws in a sharp, unexpected punch that leaves no space for political cover-ups. What begins as a roast quickly turns into a full-on demolition, tearing down the carefully built legacy to expose the uncomfortable reality underneath.
What you know now, do you wish you had a third term? You know what, if I could make an arrangement where I had a stand-in, a front man or front woman, and they had an earpiece in, and I was just in my basement in my sweats looking through the stuff, and then I could sort of deliver the lines, but somebody else was doing all the talking and ceremony, I'd be fine with that.
We know he wasn't really running the country.
Yeah.
We used to think he was actually running the country, and now they're like, no, he didn't even see those executive orders. That was all auto pen.
You know, first of all, I don't believe, whether you agree with me or disagree with me, whether you agree with Donald Trump or disagree with him, I don't believe in hectoring voters. I believe in persuading voters. Support is not something I'm given or something I'm owed. It's something you got to go out there and work for. So one, I just don't like the tone of going in. I mean, look, the better question for Barack Obama or anybody to ask is not why black men, it's not how dare you not vote for Kamala.
If you're enjoying this video, don't forget to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon. The takedown begins just like every legendary demolition, by pointing out the things Obama's fans never want to hear. The carefully built image, the smooth speeches, the signature pauses that made half the country swoon like they were listening to poetry instead of actual policy. Joe Rogan rips through that facade like it's thin drywall, calling out how behind all the charm was a politician who mastered the art of looking busy while doing less than a DMV clerk on a Friday afternoon. Rogan doesn't pull his punches. He paints the former president as a man who could sell hope like a product, but once the cameras turned off, couldn't deliver it without a teleprompter, a team of writers, and an audience willing to forget 8 long years of mixed results.
He gets a glass of Flint tap water, and I swear to God, he drinks it like this. Flushes.
Can I get some water? I really did need a glass of water. This is not a stunt.
Usually when something isn't a stunt, you have to say
It's
that.
100% a stunt. When was the last time a president stopped a speech to ask, can I get a glass of water? They would never do that. They would have water ready.
From Rogan's point of view, Obama's legacy isn't about real change, it's about clever branding. He was a walking, talking lesson in self-promotion, able to convince people that every half step was a bold move and every foreign policy mistake was some kind of 12th-dimensional chess. Rogan shreds the claim that the Affordable Care Act was an untouchable miracle, pointing out how it was full of loopholes, price hikes, and broken promises, collapsing faster than a startup that goes bankrupt before launch. In Rogan's take, Obama wasn't a trailblazer at all. He was a salesman who got the public to buy a product loaded with hidden fees.
Best people age the hardest. I think Obama was probably like a very idealistic young man.
Oh Lord, what's going on now? Who's hollering? I can't even see it.
Who really wanted to change the world. And that dude aged more than anybody.
I mean, I'm getting old, so I can't hear that well. I can't see that good.
Who aged the least? Trump. Trump just
This is something that
He just brushed that shit off his shoulders like it was nothing.
We knock on wood wherever we may have wood, that I'm in very good health. I just won 2 club championships, not even senior, 2 regular club championships. To do that, quite smart, and you have to be able to.
Rogan tears into the obsession with image, laughing at how a simple tan suit turned into a week-long national scandal during Obama's time. Not because the suit mattered, but because the media loved any excuse to praise him instead of asking why certain wars were still dragging on years after he promised to end them. Rogan points out the absurdity that same man could order a drone strike on a wedding in the Middle East and still land a Vogue cover a month later. He nails the irony, saying that if style points were the measure of leadership, Obama would have been president for life, but in the real world, style doesn't rebuild cities, pay bills, or fix broken systems.
Pound of backstabbing that's going on.
That's a very disrespectful attack on the American people who deserve the truth. They deserve to have faith and trust in the integrity of our democratic republic, which has been undermined by President Obama through his direction of this manufactured fake intelligence document, knowing that it was filled with lies.
Like when she got into office, you realize like you're not really in control of everything because there's another person who's in control of each individual department, and they'll stop whatever you're trying to do every step of the way. They get in the way of everything. What are you going to do? You're going to replace everything?
Then, just when the roast feels like it's boiling over, J.D. Vance steps in with the first of his 3 sharp shots. Vance goes straight at Obama's supposed bond with the working class, ripping apart the myth that he was ever truly one of them. He lays out how Obama loved talking about middle America, but treated it more like a campaign backdrop than an actual priority. Vance drives the point home that during Obama's time, jobs in the Rust Belt didn't magically return, they disappeared even faster, replaced with speeches about how globalization was unavoidable. It's a precise strike that makes Obama's Midwestern photo ops look like nothing more than staged political theater.
During this Kamala Harris administration, it changed my opinion of that guy.
I don't understand how we got so toxic, so divided, and so bitter.
He said he wanted generals like Adolf Hitler had. Donald Trump said that.
Did you have a high opinion of him before?
Yeah, I did just as an intelligent person, a statesman. He's probably like caught up in the system. It's very difficult to make real meaningful change. You think you're going to do something and then you get into office and you're like, oh God, what a quagmire this place is. But watching him just straight up lie about
Rogan jumps right back in, mocking how Obama became the Democrats' ultimate salesman of moral high ground. He highlights the irony of a man preaching transparency while running one of the most secretive administrations in decades, from the Department of Justice going after whistleblowers to his cozy ties with Silicon Valley. Rogan shows that Obama didn't just play the political game, he rewrote the playbook on how to hide the ball while looking noble doing it. The roast heats up when Rogan compares Obama's Nobel Peace Prize to handing a championship trophy to a team before the season even starts, because once in office, the peace part took a back seat to keeping the status quo alive. Rogan doesn't let nostalgia blur the truth. He paints a picture of post-presidency Obama lounging on yachts, signing Netflix deals, and cashing 6-figure checks for speeches to the same corporations he once promised to hold accountable. The hypocrisy, Rogan says, practically writes itself, and he milks it for every ounce, calling it the most profitable retirement plan ever designed by a man who claimed to hate corporate greed. It's the kind of punch that doesn't just sting, it sticks.
because things are actually happening. Very different than most of the time when people get elected.
And I will shut down the federal Department of Education, and we will move everything back to the state.
Most of the time when people get elected, they claim all these things when they're running for president, then they get into office and not much changes.
Individualize education and do it with the love for their children.
And in fact, a lot of what they campaigned on, they don't practice at all. Great example is the Obama administration. The Hope and Change website had to be changed because there was a bunch of stuff in there about whistleblowers.
No, I don't think Mr. Snowden was a patriot. I called for a thorough review of our surveillance operations before Mr. Snowden made these leaks. My preference would have been for a lawful, orderly examination.
J.D. Vance takes his second swing, this time going after the racial politics Obama perfected, not in the way that broke barriers, but in how he used his identity as a shield against criticism. Vance argues that Obama's biggest move in race relations wasn't policy, but persuading supporters that disagreeing with him made you morally questionable. Meanwhile, real policies that could have closed wealth gaps or fixed broken systems were pushed aside for more speeches about unity. Vance slices into that contradiction, showing how the image of a unifier often covered up the reality of a divider when it came to political tactics.
I'll say just a couple of things. First of all, the president has been very clear. We're not shielding anything. The president has directed the attorney general to release all credible information and, frankly, to go and find additional credible information related to the Jeffrey Epstein case. He's been incredibly transparent about that stuff, but some of that stuff takes time. You've got to assemble that stuff. You've got to compile that.
Rogan grabs the moment to drag Obama's foreign policy back under the spotlight. He tears apart the no-drama Obama myth by laying out the chaos in Libya, the endless quagmire in Afghanistan, and the infamous red line in Syria drawn, erased and redrawn so many times it looked like a broken etch, a sketch. Rogan pounds the point that while Obama could speak like a statesman, his choices on the world stage often left allies confused and enemies encouraged. That wasn't leadership, it was cautious calculation dressed up in polished speeches. The image was of a transformative leader, but the reality was a politician who played the game well enough to convince millions that style could pass for substance and that speeches could replace results.